Um, Alright, I guess I'm back online again. Let's see here. Trying to wait for the thing to show up. Yep, there it goes. Okay. Um, Oops. So, last night where I left off, I was having build errors. I fixed those now. um, so the errata for today is a couple of things. For one, just addressing my issue last night. I actually had a spelling mistake. I feel bad about that, but sometimes it happens. So here it was token value instead of IRC token value. The problem is that, oh, and then here I was doing struct just token instead of struct IRC token. So that's the reason why that was broken. And then similarly elsewhere. Um, the problem is that this IDE doesn't really do that good of a job of trying to see if I broke things. When I'm doing types like this, where I just say union or enum or struct, I don't really get code completion, so I think it kind of doesn't work quite right when I go for that. And therefore I made the spelling mistakes, but you could argue that I should just probably be better at proofreading and better looking at those error messages as they happen. Next thing on my list is setting up C-line GNU compiling. So in a previous video, I was trying to set up my tool chains to use GNU for this project, and I finally found the setting that I was looking for. Right underneath it, underneath tool chains, is a CMake, and here's where you can add your tool chains that you want to use for whichever kind of build you're doing. So in this case, for debug, I'm using my GNU release GNU. So finally figured that out. I'm pretty happy about that because I do prefer the GNU compiler. And that's all I got as far as errata. Or errata, sorry, the plural version. Now I'm just going to try to rename a couple of things. I realized this when I looked over this code again. I realized I didn't name things as well as I'd like to. So I'm just going to go ahead and fix some of that. So real quickly, IRC get token type. So what I really want to change this to is a different namespace. I'm just going to go to my refactor, rename, and then I'm going to change it to IRC token get get token type. So I'm going to do that. And then here, I'm going to do something similar. Hold on, my cat's kind of trying to get all over the keyboard. Let's see here, was it Shift F4? No, alright, hold on. I'll try to remember that. Oh, Shift F6. Oh, Control, or yeah, I need to push the FN keyboard on my laptop here. IRC token get token value. A little verbose, but that's okay. And then here, once again, I'm going to name this to IRC token is token type to make that a little bit more clear. And then hopefully my C file got updated. Get token type, get token value, sweet. Alright, so that's a quick refactor there. One thing I forgot about enums is that they're kind of globally scoped, so I'm just going to type in some, well, what I ought to do is I like to, this is where Sublime Text 2 comes in handy for me. It's going to open up, oh, it's from the conference notes. Get a multi-cursor going in there, delete that back, and then just type token underscore. I'm going to go ahead and copy those and quickly paste them in there. Cool. Well, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. I meant to write IRC token in front of them. There we go. Very fast, very quick. And then I decided I don't want to do a string literal, especially not yet. We're just going to call this token character. Get rid of that. And I'm just going to keep it like that for now. So got that quick refactor out of the way. So the next thing I want to work on is the lexer. So what I want to do is I want to pass in my queue that grabs the lines. Where did I define that at? Right up here. Right. So I want to pass then into the kind of like the constructor of my lexer and establish a dependency there. And then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it implement some sort of function that says get next token. So every single time I do like a while get next token, it's just going to give me the next token to work with that we're eventually going to pass on to the actual parser. Someone made a comment yesterday, Nova byte or bit, asking if I was going to make an AST. I'm not going to go that far with this application, just because it's a little unwarranted. I think even a parse tree might be a little bit much. I might just keep it simple for now. So that's kind of the goal that I was going to try to shoot for. But recall that our lexer is going to run into issues because this is going to be running on on a separate thread from the read. I don't know if I'm decided yet whether or not I'm going to create some sort of an abstraction for my read buffer thread to just extract it out and abstract it out. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that just yet, so I'm just going to move along to the lexer and try to establish that. So I'm going to take the similar approach as I did with the token. I'm going to I already include that in there, sorry. I'm going to take a similar approach as to what I did with the IRC token, and that is I'm going to have some encapsulation going on. So I'm just going to call this struct IRC lexer. Do a little for declaring there. Then we're going to do struct IRC lexer pointer. What was my naming convention that I did for the token? I'm just going to copy at least two of these functions so I can reestablish that naming convention there. IRC lexer. I'm not going to pass in anything at this very moment. I'm going to call this allocate IRC lexer, and this one is IRC lexer. So we're going to deallocate that. I'm just going to take a pointer to an IRC lexer. Okay. Oops. Just going to shorthand that. Just call it lexer because why not? Sweet. So what I would want to do is have a get next token function. So struct IRC token pointer. See IRC. Oops. Lexer get next. Oops, token. Cool. Then we're just going to pass in the struct IRC lexer as a pointer. I think that's all I need for now. If I recall correctly, a lexer's purpose is to tokenize or take some string and then give back the tokens. So here is where we're actually going to generate the token parsing or the token stuff, or creating the token. Sorry. And then get next token is going to return that token. So what's going to end up happening is that even though this is like a very like bare basic bare basic functionality. We'll find out that when I'm implementing this in the IRC Lexer C that I'm going to have a lot of, and I mean a lot, of private functions that are only going to be accessible within that C file. To hide that from the user using this. But so normally under normal circumstances, when I would create a Lexer, and I've done this in a past project of mine, I would also have like some functions to return, you know, the line number that it's on, or the column that it's on, or some sort of error. Since I have all that taken care of by this thread here with this buffer, I don't need to do that per se. I'm also not validating anything at the moment, but I should assume that whatever server I'm connected to adheres to the spec as the protocol dictates. So I think we might be okay a little bit. The only concern I really have here is dealing with the thread issues. What I could do is I can make this thread be a part of the Lexer itself, the Lexer functionality itself, so that way I can get it out of the main functionality. But the problem there is I need to somehow get the socket connection in. So I don't know if I want to extract this out or abstract this out just yet. Yeah, so I think I'll just continue on with my Lexer here at the moment. Let's go ahead and copy these files and get these all created. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and declare that struct here. So IRC Lexer. It's going to have an STS header. Is that what it is? Let's look at that. Oh, let's look at that main function there. STS header. So yeah, we're going to want one of those be a part of this. So we're going to go ahead and pass that in. Since we're already dealing with lines here, I'm just going to call that the line buffer. Cool. And then it's going to be. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to include the because it needs it. Forward declare that. Include. How did I do this? Was it lib? Or was it STS header? STSQ, STSQH. So I forward declared the STS header, the other file here, so that way I don't necessarily need the implementation of it just yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep it in the C file here. Cool. So we're just going to have struct IRC Lexer pointer. We're just going to call it Lexer. If Lexer equals struct IRC Lexer pointer, we're going to do our malloc size of struct IRC Lexer not or equal to null. And we're just going to return null. And then, if I recall correctly, I need the actual include file here. Nope. Hold on. I forgot that this IDE is going to go ahead and, whoops, let me grab that. If I could spell it correctly, the macro, of course. There we go. And then we're just going to do option. Oh, geez. Okay. Whatever. So not going to let me Try to autocomplete that. Okay, never mind. All right, I'll just go ahead and include it in here then. Was it UNS? Oh boy. Let's see what token says. I'm just going to do that. Where's that header file? Nah. This brings up a good point. I generally like to include things where they're being used at. So that way the header file doesn't really need to have too many dependencies. Whoops. But it comes at a price. Well, no, not necessarily. I don't have anything to. I mean, there's a lot of code duplication around the place, but I don't mind since since these header files are an abstraction. Since this is all abstracted out, this header file has no other implementation detail of any other header file. So for all intents and purposes, whoever's using this header file just needs to have IRC token. So that's like the only dependency here. Here I'm using the bool macro, so I've just created a dependency on this header file for that. But generally speaking, I like to keep my header files within the C files themselves. And then this is not added to my actual build. So real quickly, I'm just going to call the free here for the dealloc, and then add it to my build. Let's see here. It'll be IRC Lexer C, and that should solve that problem. Even malloc is not included, so I'm just going to go ahead and include that. And we're going to assign the line buffer. Line buffer equals line buffer. Sweet. And do a quick compile, make sure it's all working correctly. This needs to return something, so. And that should work. Okay. I'm going to go check comments real quick. Nothing in chat. Sweet. Okay, so moving on along then. Looking at our symbols here, we're just going to take this one step at a time. So the basic thing that I want to see is coming out of here would be like IRC token colon, and then a whole bunch of jibber jabber after that. When I'm calling this get next token function, so here's where the interesting bits happen. I'm going to be referencing the spec quite a bit for this part. Now this is completely optional. The colon with the prefix and the space. So I need to check for that if that comes. Now I think what I might want to do is since this, I don't really necessarily care where a message comes from most of the time, but even though this is completely optional, I still want to try to parse it out whenever I do get next token, because really I don't want the lexer to skip out on tokenizing anything. I want the actual parser to care whether something gets skipped. So I'm going to do just that, and we're going to start with the prefix here for any message that comes in. So really, what I want to try to get done by the end of the night, or the time here, is try to get the this part a-okay. So let's get to that. I think when I looked at prefix the last time, I noted this as a token. But I think I might just count that as another character, because the @ symbol has no like real special meaning for me right now. Really, this is just a language definition to make sure that whatever's being passed in is valid. But if I assume that whatever's being passed in is valid, then it should be pretty easy for me to have a couple of tokens: colon, letter, 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 all the way up to space. And this part would be letter or number, space, and then params. Which params are 0 or more, starting with a space, whatever middle means, something, whatever that means, with many or no, with a colon or whatever that is. I still haven't figured that out. I should probably Google it. It probably means something. So we're just going to go ahead and start with the colon here. So the thing to remember from our main function here is that we're going to be dealing with a thread, and it's going to continue to feed us lines. So what I'm going to do here instead, I'm going to keep this thread stopped functionality here, but really what I'm going to do now is I'm going to replace this functionality and move that into my lexer. But I'm still going to keep the while true part here because this will be important for the actual parser. But we don't necessarily want it to. We don't want the lexer to stop ever. We only want it to stop when it reaches EOF. Which reminds me, I think I want to add in a token for that specifically. And I know I have IRC token none, but that means something else. So I'm just going to add in EOF. I typically do this so I know when I'm at the end of file, but or end of line. In this case, we're going to consider our whatever's being streamed in as like an actual file, except the queue is going to be like a line-by-line version of that file. So I think having IRC token EOF might be pretty appropriate for that. So let's see here. Let's go back to this right here. Oh wait, no, yeah, I want to pretty much copy this functionality in there. So here instead, I'm going to create the lexer, include the IRC lexer. There we go. I have to separate our definition, or just our normal setup from our definitions here. And then I'm just going to do lexer equals allocate lexer. And here we're going to pass in the queue, and that should take care of that. I probably should check for if null. So if not lexer, we're just going to do an f print f std to say unable to create lexer. Pretty basic error message, I'd say. I probably should free things, but I can always take care of that later. Really what I ought to do is I have a lot of breaking statements here. What I ought to do is I ought to, like, this would be a great case for a go-to statement to do cleanup of this main function after the fact, but I'm just going to ignore for now, because what happens is that this process, if it kills right here, it should clean up that memory anyway. So we have our Lexer, and then we're going to, I'm just going to comment this out real quick because I'm going to redo this here. So struct token, we're going to actually rename that to struct token, IRC token, this will be Lexer, oh wait, yeah, I forgot. I keep forgetting that this is not some object-oriented language. Just gonna copy this out of here. And put this here. Whoops. IRC token. While it's not the type of IRC token EOF. Whoops. That needs to be a pointer. Okay, there we go. Since this is allocated, I would want to free it. So I need to remember to do a free for the token. Now the parser is going to take care of this when we finally get to that. In fact, I'm actually going to abstract this out even further when it comes time to deal with the actual parser. The parser is going to take care of handling this thread stuff, I imagine, and then also it's going to be responsible for freeing the token after usage. And then here's the something interesting I just thought of. Here I have if the line is equal to null, go ahead and sleep it. Since we're dealing with a Lexer, there's a possibility of it not doing anything at that very moment because there's no lines to do anything with. At which point, I think I might want to utilize that token none. Because if we're thinking of this as continuously going, then I think what I want to do is I want to say if that token is none, then go ahead and sleep this thread. So IRC is token type, IRC token, whoops, IRC token none. Then here we're going to do the uSleep 500 milliseconds with the continue. Okay, and then that's that. Now, the crazy thing is we're no longer going to have a line anymore. But I could easily add a function into the Lexer to, say, grab the current line. In fact, I might actually do that. And maybe I might not even use the token none at that point. Maybe I can still reserve that for some special meaning. So maybe just for shits and giggles. So IRC Lexer, yeah. We'll give it a char pointer to IRC Lexer. Get current line. Okay, and we're just going to go ahead and add that. Sweet. IDE is finally working. So what I want to do here then is we're going to have some sort of pointer to the line. And then for right now, the line is going to be whoops, we're going to set that to null. And then we're just going to return that line, which I forgot I needed to pass in that Lexer pointer. And then Lexer line. Okay. What I should do is I probably should return some sort of a struct because, you know, sometimes it's nice to know what the line length is, especially in C, if you try to use it. So I might actually do that. Not right now, but for now we can always do strlen. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the comments. Still nothing on chat. Sweet. Okay. Alright, so get current line. Just going to try to rethink through what's going on here. IRC Lexer get current line. And then what we're going to do is we're going to like that. So really what I want to do is I just want to start implementing the token stuff now. So I might want to I think I might actually stick with that token none. For now, at least. Okay, so let's go ahead and implement that. So the expected functionality is that, well, let's compile it, make sure everything looks okay. So far, so good. That's to be expected because I haven't implemented that yet. So just double checking our logic. While true, get next token. If the thread is stopped and token is not type of, well, I should say if token is type of EOF, then go ahead and break it. If IRC token type is none, go ahead and sleep it. So that's to let us know that there's no line to look at. Otherwise, I'm going to grab the line, and then I'm going to free the line and free the token. I'm going to move the freeing of the token into something else later. Well, actually, I don't even... Well, the problem is I'm doing this free token here, but really what I should do is obviously IRC token or deallocate IRC token. So I should be doing that. That's the proper way to clean up. And then let's make sure my token is... Yep. Okay. So that's that. Let's go ahead and implement this now. So now comes for the interesting bit. So maybe I do want to change my mind and just return a token that represents a string. But if I needed to extract certain pieces out of that prefix, that would be nice to do as well. But as I said, the parser should be responsible for the most part for extracting out the different, or for dealing with the different pieces. So I think I might stick with that. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we're parsing prefix. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a static function here, struct IRC token parse prefix. So I'm just going to implement that down here. Now the reason why I put this at the top here is because we still have to do typical C prototyping. Otherwise, wherever I use these __ functions, this is the naming convention I prefer to use or like to use, but whenever I create my private functions, they have to be before they're being used. So in typical C fashion, it might be better for me to just declare them up top so I can define them wherever in the code. It doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to do that. So what we're looking for is we're looking for the prefix here, but that's not the token we're looking for. So we're looking for the parse colon, and that's going to let us know if we do have a prefix going on. So I like to do this current character or current char. I can shorthand it to that. So I'm going to pass in a character to it. So when I'm doing get next token, so what I need to do is I need to first get that line. So we're going to create a char line. Current line equals the lexer line buffer sts header dot pop, right? Or is it stsq? I forget what the, yeah, stsq.pop. Pop. If it is null, if current line is null, we're just going to go ahead and return and allocate a token of, not Elixir, allocate a token of token none, right? And then I'm going to pass in the value of oh my. So this brings up a good point. I forgot to implement whatever creates a token value. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Well, you know what I could do? I could just keep it, well, I could just copy it. I think I'll just do a copy for now. I don't want to have to allocate memory to that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do IRC struct IRC token value, and not make it a pointer. I'm just going to do toke value. Let's make sure I have that right. Yeah, token value. I don't have that as a pointer, so I'm just going to copy it in there, which is okay. In this case, I prefer that actually. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and toke value dot character. I think that's how that works. Just make it null terminating. The autocomplete. Oh, right. Toke value. No, I have that right. Toke value dot character. I believe that's right. Let's see if that compiles. Oh, it requires a union. Struct IRC token value. Did I make that as a struct? No, I'm pretty sure I made that as a union. Yeah, there we go. So if it's null, if the current line is null, we're just going to return that token none. Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to loop over that line. So we're going to get that line. So I'm going to do char current character, right? And I'm just going to do current character equals well, I need some sort of counter, right? Or maybe this might work. We could do some pointer magic. This should be fun. And then make sure that while it's not null terminating. So if it's end of line, let's see here. Current character is equal to the current line plus plus. This maybe might work. And then what I could do is I can pass that into my well, shoot, I don't know if I want this to be a Boolean or not. Yeah, I want that to actually be a Boolean. So I'm just going to change that to bolt. Change that to bolt. And what I would do is I would just say return current character equal to this one. So if parse colon current character, then we'll return a token of oh wait, yeah, we want to advance. I'm just trying to think. Since we're kind of streaming this, the get next token, I'm not entirely convinced what I'm doing here is exactly correct. I think I want to keep count of the actual character position that I'm at within the line, and then increment that. So when the next time it gets called, it tries to parse the next thing. Then I would start at that position. Yeah, I think I might want to do that. We'll do size t current column. I'm actually going to rename this from line to current line, and then we're going to keep that as current column, and then we're going to set lexer, current column equals 0. And then what I want to do is now I want to start at the position where the current column is, and then increment it after each time here. So the problem here is that the current line's already being called. Oh boy, I need to rethink this. Okay, so let's see. We have we want to do while get next token, not EOF. We want to get the next line. So if we have no line, so if line is null, then go ahead and set the current line. So if it's not null, set the current line to something. That way we keep it. And then so the way I would do that is flexor current line equal to null. I'm going to go ahead and grab that next line in the buffer. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. Otherwise, we're going to set the flexor current line equals current line. Oops, not current character. Current line. Right, and then I'm going to go ahead and move this out here to here. So whenever the line is at EOF or null, so in this case, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to reset the line. So when the column is greater than the line length, then I'm going to reset it. So it'd be nice if I kept information about that. So current line length. All right, we'll do the, whoops. Just gonna move these things around. Now things get interesting. So here I really want to do is I may actually want to I want to free that last line that's currently in there because it may not be read. So we'll just go ahead and free that. I only want this to be responsible, this lexer for responsible for freeing that line. So when I do get next line, what I ought to do is I'm going to, or get current line, I'm going to create like a little copy of that. If I decide to, you know what, I'm just going to, yeah, I'll create a copy of that when it comes to it. So screw it, I'm just going to do that now while it's still in my mind. Copy, I think it's strcpy. Let's import string here as a matter of fact. Include string h. Str and cpy, I think is what I want. We need the number of bytes to that, so that's why I'm going to do the. So this will be dust. Okay, and then I'm going to copy this lexer current line, and we're going to do that lexer current line length number of times, and local variable dust may have not been initialized. Really? Should be oh, I don't know how to use this function. Perfect time for Googling. Oh, right. What I need to do is I need to pre-allocate that. There's a way to do that. C string pre-allocate. Gosh, there's a way to do this. No, none of those are it. C copy string using a pointer. Wow, definitely not. So here's an example of them doing a malloc, but could have sworn there was a way to do this. I don't want to say with colic, maybe. Probably not. Yeah, definitely not colic. I wonder if it showed like related functions. No, not on that one. One of these sites has a related functions piece. Malloc, realloc free. Dang. C-string allocate copy. Yeah, it seems like everybody's using a malloc. Could have sworn there was like a way to do this. Oh well. I'm fine with that. So we're going to do a char pointer, and then we'll do a malloc size of char times the length that we want, which would be current line length. This will always start at. This will always be the right length in terms of the copy of byte, or in terms of number of bytes to copy over. It should have the null terminating character at the end of that, and then I'm just going to go ahead and return the dest. Clean this up, and there we go, done. All right, moving along. Sorry. Are there any questions, comments so far? Nope, still no. Yeah, there's people chatting last time. I was actually kind of surprised. Usually they don't chat. So chat if you want to. That's what it's there for on Twitch. It's just a shame I'm using my laptop and I have to kind of switch back. Okay, so what I want to do here now is lexer current line length. I'm just going to do strlen on that. So that way I know that it's a-okay. So if it's null, go ahead and try to pop it off the buffer. If that's null, go ahead and return a token of none. Otherwise, go ahead and give me the line, set the length, set the column to 0, and there we go. And then we want to free that last remaining line, so free lexer and then current line. Since I introduced a dependency, this line buffer here, I'm going to make the lexer responsible for deallocating that. So stsq.destroy, and then I'm going to do the lexer line buffer. Now I'm probably going to do this not prefer, but kind of one of the last things I do. Okay, so we're going to free that that line. We're going to destroy the buffer. We're going to free the lexer, and that should be a-okay. But what I need to do here, though, is before I need to free the current line. Ooh, which was already set to null. Might have some floating memories about. I think what I'm going to do is oh right, I know what I can do. If lexer current column is greater than the lexer current line length, Then what we're going to do is we're going to free that current line. And then we're going to go ahead and set that to null. Now I'm going to have this work on the second pass, so what's going to end up happening is it's going to get that last token, the EOF token, and then I'm going to, on the next call, increment, and the column length is greater than the current line length, then I'm just going to kill it. I don't want that null terminating string piece to it, so I'm going to subtract 1 from the current length. So it should be current column starts at index 0, so when it reaches the actual line end of the line length, that's not the null terminating character, then if it's greater than that, which would be on that null terminating character, I'm just going to go ahead and free it, kill it, and then call this next piece here. Okay, that should take care of that. Get rid of this here. I'm going to go back to my main function real quick. Yeah, this is a bit of a problem for me because I don't know when it's going to be EOF. Because the only thing that really determines whether it's EOF or not is if the thread is stopped. I said in a previous video that this read is a blocking call on this thread. So whenever this read returns something less than 0, or yeah, less than or equal to 0, then what's going to end up happening is that this while loop is going to kill itself. That means that the socket is done reading. So this is what would happen if I, like, for instance, click the quit command on the socket. That's going to tell the server to kill my connection, and when that happens, this read is done. So then I'm going to stop that thread when that breaks, and then that's how I know it's end of file. So, but the problem is I don't want to stop. If that thread stops, and I still have lines to look at, I don't want those to stop either. So what I mean to say is, instead of saying EOF, I mean to say have this how I had it before, really, where I was checking for that null. But I'm going to replace this with the EOF. So instead of using token none, I'm going to use EOF for the line ending. But I'm going to change that from EOF to EOL because that makes more sense. So bear with me. EOL. All right, that should update that. Token none. So I'm going to change this to token EOL, and then that's a perfect character to note the end of line. I think I've been at this for an hour now, which yeah, just about an hour. I'm actually, usually I do these videos for just an hour long, but I'm going to keep going. But in the meantime, I need to take a quick bathroom break, so I will be back in a couple of minutes. In the meantime, feel free to chat, and I will respond back to that. I also created this little channel here after stream chat. So I don't know how to pause it or mute myself, so I don't know how to do that on here just yet. So I'm just going to very quietly mute myself, and then I'll just leave this going for a couple of minutes while I take a break. So preferences. I don't know how to mute my mic any other way, so I'm just going to do that. Input, internal microphone. All right, I'm back. Maybe the volume's a little loud. I'm just going to tone it down just a bit here. Okay, sorry for about the break. Let's see. Were there any chat messages going on? Absolutely not. All right. Cool. I'm okay with that. Oh yeah, someone did ask me yesterday if I'm going to be putting all this code up on GitHub. I will. When I'm not feeling so lazy. Probably tomorrow evening I will, but the problem is I'd have to commit to it after every single one of these videos, and I don't necessarily want to do that, but I guess I will. People want it, I'll do it. So with that said, I'm going to continue along here. Okay, so okay, so I'm checking to make sure that the line length is less than, or the current column is less than the line length. If it's not, go ahead and free it, set to null, set the line to null, try to pop off the next line. If that line is null, go ahead and send back that token. At this point, I think what I want to do is I actually want to move this up a little bit, just in case. Because I want the current column to reset no matter what. So that way it avoids this condition here, so we're not trying to free it again. Token EOL, current line, okay, so line length is calculated, current line is set, perfect. Here I'm doing a direct assignment to the pointer. I think that's okay. I could do a copy here, but I'm not going to. I just have to trust that no one else is using this buffer, I guess. Pushing and popping from it. which in case if they are, it is under a locking scheme, so it's protected from threads, but it's not protected from other areas of the application of the screwing up. But I mean, it doesn't matter at this point. So, because if it gets in here and people start popping it, then or beforehand, then it's just going to execute normally. It might be better for me to actually create or allocate that buffer in here, but as an object-oriented programmer, obviously that's not without issues, but I'm not that much of a zealot though, so anyway, okay, so where was I? So we have our current character. Now what I want to do is I actually want to get that current character and increment the column. So Lexer current column plus plus. And then at this point, what I want to do is I want to say current character is a copy of Lexer. Well, in this case, current line should already be set. Maintain consistency here. And then current column. Okay. Now, what I can do now is say, now that I have the character, now it's up for the interesting parsing bits, or tokenization bits. So here, what I could do is now I could introduce that string literal, right? We know that things are space delimited, so I could technically extract out a whole chunk of text, and that might be more efficient, especially later if I can tokenize that as some sort of string literal to just look at, or if I just try to do the prefix in one go. If I decide to tokenize that prefix, which I might do actually, now that I think about it, because I kind of want to ignore it for now. I'm not trying to validate that it's correct. I'm assuming that it already is correct, because it's coming directly from the server. So so I think what I want to do is create a token for alright, I think I'll do that. I think I'll do that. So I'm going to create an anonymous struct here that's going to contain the, we're going to call this string literal, and it's going to have a pointer to a line, or to the string, and then we're going to have a size t, size t of the length. So the advantage of this is that whenever I always have the length of the string, so I don't have to call strlen myself ever. So the problem here though is that now this whole token is now the size of the struct, because it's the biggest element in here. But I am passing this around. What I might do here is I might try to align the memory a little bit better. So we'll put the bigger thing up first, smaller thing next, and the smallest thing last. So that might try to reduce the memory overhead on this when I try to do a copy. So similarly, I'm going to make the biggest thing first, and then the second biggest thing. So hopefully this will bring down the size of this slightly, so the copy's not as intense. Alright, so that's going to be our string literal. It's going to take the length and the actual string. So instead of doing character, what I might do instead is I might actually, well, no, I'll just go ahead and do IRC token string literal. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Call that integer literal. You know what? Never mind. I'm not going to postfix that with literal. That's kind of lame. We already know it's literal. So, okay, cool. So what I want to do here now is I want to instead call this parse prefix. So parse prefix, and going to change the name. Oh, I should just have done my refactoring there. Was it shift function F6? Yeah. Parse prefix. What I might do instead, so I think I might instead just try to have this return a token for me. So that way I don't have to check for bool and then do some crazy thing to return the token from here. Now I could do that. I don't see the point. Well, I might. Let's see, do I have the token value is well, what I should do is I should have a token here, as a matter of fact. So what I ought to do is I ought to create a struct IRC token. I'm going to call this toke, and I'm not going to make that a pointer. No, I am going to make that a pointer. And just for consistency's sake, we're going to do that. Then what I can do is I can say pass in the well, I'm going to have to pass in the lexer in here because it's out of scope. So this would need the struct IRC lexer, and we're going to have that as a pointer. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it return the token. So struct IRC token pointer toke. Okay. Up here, I created a token value already, but it's being used here, but I might use it in other areas too. But in this prefix here, I might as well just do that. Recreate it here. Now I'm going to do a copy of it, so that's okay. So let me go ahead and pass in the lexer, and then we're going to pass in that toke. And then if this returns true, then I'm going to have a return toke. Otherwise, let it go. May have not been initialized. Yeah, that is very true, as a matter of fact. I think what I could do is I could actually always create a token and then reset its value every single time this calls. That might actually not be a bad strategy. So let me go ahead and add that in here to set the token type. So I'll call this void IRC token set type struct IRC token IRC token, right? And then we'll do the enum IRC token type. And then should I pass in the value at this point? Yes, because if you change the type, the value should also be changed. Ideally, so union IRC token value, and we're just going to do that. And then, well, I didn't need to copy it because at this point that should auto-generate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say change that from IRC token. Oh wow. Oh wow, I didn't even perform the check here. I was about to compile this and make sure it worked, but I didn't even actually perform the check that I wanted to check there. Oh my, I changed these all to like IRC token. I just really wanted to call them token. Oh boy. Pardon me while I do some refactoring real quick. Gosh, I didn't realize how many times I named it that. Keep it simple, right? Cool, so we have token type. Token type is equal to a new. Well, you know, you could argue that maybe I shouldn't even try to do this. Then I would have. Maybe I could make it immutable. Yeah, but then if I do that, then we'll always have this problem here of it not being initialized. Or maybe I'm doing the function wrong. Maybe I should rethink about how I'm doing the function. Maybe I should have it return a token. So I can pass in the lexer, have it return a token, and if the token is not the type of token none, then I can say skip, or if it's not that type, then I could say return it. Yeah, I don't know. One problem at a time. Before I forget, I need to fix this for sure. I'm not entirely sure about the immutability right now. It's going to create a new function for me. Well, not function, comment here. To remind me, but this I do need to implement. So if type token type equal to type. Yep, that was pretty simple. So, well, I could have a return null instead. I always wanted to return a token. Otherwise, maybe I wanted to be token none to show some sort of error, maybe. Or just throw an error, even. I do not know what I want to do. I hate when I get into these sort of traps. Like, you spend too much time focusing on design. Any comments? Still no. Geez. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what I want to do. I think I'm just going to check for null. So it's going to return a pointer to that. It's an IRC token. And then I'm going to update this to reflect that. Am I missing something? Parse prefix. All right. I do want to pass in the lexer. So the problem with, even though these are like statically defined functions, they're still not within the scope of this. Since this is allocating a brand new one, it's still outside of scope. So it's not like I have access to any particular lexer. So I could theoretically have multiple of these things going. Now, if I didn't have multiple of these things going, if I only had one, then what I could have done is I could have made a global variable of this IRC lexer, right? I wouldn't have this allocate business, but I would have one of those, and then I wouldn't need to pass it in every single time into these parse functions. But I'm going to go ahead and do that. So leave it as it is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say toke equal that. And if it's not equal to null, then we're going to return it. So probably don't even need this current character business. I might eventually. Like, I might have other parse functions that might just operate on a current character, but so I'll leave that in there for now. Then what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and essentially do what I was doing over here now. We'll just get a copy of that line. Right, and then size t current column. And we'll just do current line, or current column, lexer, current column, cool. And then we'll, nah, I won't do that. I'll just stick with the I won't deal with any copies there, or not copies, or copies of the pointers or any values there. So what I'm looking for is if, oh, excuse me. No, excuse me again. If the Lexer current line, Lexer current column. Well, what I should do is I should say if it's position 0 equal to that colon, because according to our spec here, it will always start with a colon followed by prefix and a space. Now, that's if this is sent. So it's either going to be all those or it's going to be the command that's just going to be sent. We've seen this before in the other videos where the server's going to ping me and then I have to send a pong back. It gives me no prefixes on that one. It just gives me the command. So a prefix will always start with this colon. So we're going to assume that. So if the current line is that colon, or no, if the current line at position 0 is not that colon, then well, the problem here is, so we need to make sure that the Lexer current column equal to 0, and so that way it doesn't well, what I should say is if it's not equal to 0, well, if I do return null, that's okay. So, right, it's going to do return null. If it's not equal to 0, well, this is going to be no. So I'm going to return one token at a time. So I'm going to be parsing the next character. So if the current column is not equal to 0, or current line not equal to that, then we're going to return null. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and resume parsing. So I'm going to include the prefix since it's kind of defined as such in the spec. So I think I'll keep that character right. So while Lexer current column Lexer current column. I said that twice, which means I did something wrong. Current line while not equal to space, then I want to keep consistent here. So bool is space char character. Whoops! Wow. Static. Now I could inline that, but I don't really care to right now. In case I ever want to swap it out, instead of doing like a direct comparison, I could check the Unicode or something, or ASCII code. Cool. So while it is not space, go ahead and parse. I don't think the prefix is allowed to contain any spaces. So server name, nickname, user, host, Server name says host name. Host name cannot have a space in it. What this is. Oh my. Yeah, I don't care to read through this RFC, but I wonder if this is like a quick link here. No, that is not a quick link to what I was thinking. I'm not sure if a letter is considered a space. But I've never seen a host name with a space in it either. So I think we're A-okay. And then it breaks down further. So nickname. Yeah. Nicknames can't have spaces in them. Should say that somewhere around here. Oh, here we go. Letter. Oh boy. Yeah, so it does not include spaces. So there's that. So that's good. Sweet. Let's see what else we got. So that covers server name, I think. Server name can be host name. Host name can be short name. Short name is not mentioned. Oh, there it is. Letter or digit, or at least one letter or digit, or more of any combination with a dash in between. So yeah, should be good on that. So yeah, while not space, cool. So the space will end it. All right, cool. So that's how we know we'll have the prefixes once we get to that end space there. So while not space, we're gonna go ahead and buffer up our line here. Now the problem is I don't know how much to allocate this to. As a matter of fact, this is where it becomes easy in other languages like PHP, because you can just append onto some some array. But here we need to know the size up front. So I can probably run this in two passes. One's actually going to do something, and that's going to give us our count. And then, so bufflane plus plus plus, and then we're going to do another loop. So while, now I could say while not is space there as well, but in this case I might as well do the current column. Current column is less than the buff lane plus 1. Then I'm going to we're going to do the char string literal. We're going to declare that. So then we're going to do string literal equals pointer to a char character array malloc size of char times the buff lane plus 1. I don't think I want to include the space though. I might, because that is part of the spec. So this will include the space, but this plus 1 will. But I think I want to make that null terminating. So that +1 will be that null terminating character. So I will do just that. String literal buff lane +1 equals that null terminating character. And then what we're going to do is we're going to return that token value. So token value, and then we're going to assign that. Oh, we're returning a token. My bad. So we're going to do an allocate token type, token string literal, right? Then we're going to pass in the value, token value, and then token value dot string is the string literal. Token value string dot length is the buff lane +1. And while we're in there, we're going to do string literal lexer current column equals, well, I'd actually, to be more correct, I should have some sort of a counter there, just because I don't want to count on that current column, so I'm just going to create a small little index here. While I is less than the buff lane, we're going to do +1 I ++. And then we're just going to do I. So we're going to start at 0, and this is what's going to be incremented. So lexer current column ++. I could actually do that here in this for loop, but I'm not going to muddy that up for readability's sake. And then this is going to be the lexer current line, and then we're going to pass in the lexer current column. So this way it can offset. Up here I'm saying that it always has to be 0, but in case there's ever an offset, we're A-okay. Buff lane has not been initialized, so make that 0. Okay. That ought to do it, as a matter of fact. So if token, so we're going to return, so here I want to increment the column by 1 more. No, it's doing that here. I think that's all right. I won't ignore this for now. Yeah, I think what I want to do as a de facto returno, IRC token, token none, right? Or EOL. I'll just do EOL. And then token value is just going to be like just going to do this, make it a empty character, and token value. All right. Let's see. I'll do token none for now because I want to do a test. I want to make sure that this is all working. So let me build it. Oh, a couple of errors. Let's see here. What does this one say? Oh boy. Redeclaration of ABS. What? Open CLC. What? Where'd that come from? Yeah, what the heck? I must have clicked something and that header file got created. So it built just fine. And then what I'm going to do is if oh boy, I'm going to have a huge memory leak here just for this test. If, well, hold up. Oh yeah, so I'm getting the next token. Okay, so if the token IRC token is token type toke, then I'm going to check for token string literal, and I'm going to print that out and probably free it. So this should show all. I'm not going to do the current line, so I'm going to do toke dot. No wait, nope. Sorry, IRC get value. Get token value. Toke. String. Dot string. All right. So. Okay, so what this should do is this should show every prefix that comes through. Otherwise, it's going to ignore it. Let's hope this builds. It does. All right, it's testing time. I mentioned this before. I'm on the free node server 38.229.70.22, port 6667, the devil's port. And I'm in the channel FLOLZ test. So feel free to join up in this IRC at any given point. While I'm doing these videos, you can get in there and hopefully whatever you write might show up. This is PG rated R. Maybe not X. So if whatever you type, make sure it's not X related, but I'm okay with R. I like swearing, so I appreciate it. Okay, let's go ahead and test this. See if this works. Now these are just my send commands. I should be seeing stuff here. My output. My bot joined. I'm not getting any prefixes here, so I wonder if something is not going quite right. I might need to throw in a breakpoint. To make sure everything's going okay. Which I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to stop it. And I'm going to throw in a breakpoint somewhere. Let's make sure that we can at least reach I think I'm just going to do it every step of the way. Each of these branching statements. And then let's see what happens. So I'm going to run my debugger. Oh, so we get our first breakpoint. Current line is 4. Oh boy. All right, so our current line is null. Current line points to nothing, so that's why it's set to that. I should probably assign this as a matter of fact, but let's continue on. The line buffer I know has things in it, or should start getting stuff in it here soon in a little bit. Assuming I passed in a pointer to it, which I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah. So the other thread should be putting stuff into it. Yep, there it goes. Stuff is put into it now. Here's a token. Let's see here. Wow. I don't know what type it is. That is not a type I would expect. I think that's the token. No, that can't be the token all. Current line. Let's run through this. Okay, so I finally get the line here, right? So here's the line that we're looking at. It should, token is nothing, so that's good. So it should, at this point, start trying to parse this. So let's go ahead and throw a breakpoint in here. And then we'll go here. So let's keep running this. So we get into this function. String literal set to nothing. Buffer length is set to everything. Token value, we have some arbitrary memory spot. So the lexer current line length is 60. Current column is 0. Current line is that. Perfect. So move on. Oh! And that's when it breaks. So let's have a look at that again. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes to buffer up here. While it's doing that, I'll check chat. Oh, private message? Oh no, just an alert. Man, that's cruel. I saw this little one thing here and I thought that might mean something. Alright, that should be enough time to buffer this thing up. Let's go ahead and get there. Yep. Okay, so current line is set to that. That is actually the colon. So if it is not equal 0, which it is, or the current line, current column is not equal to that, return null. So logically speaking, this should be a-okay because the line length is not greater than 0. And it is definitely the colon, so that should actually probably be an AND statement, because if any one of those are true, then it'll return null, which I guess is what I want, or not. Ugh. It's probably going to get in this return null here. Yeah. Okay. Well, we want both of those things to, so it has to be 0, and if it's not that, then return null. So I'll try it again. yeah, so for the most part, this is working quite well. It's my parse prefix that is that is not. And since I'm calling it out as parse prefix, I think I actually might make that a token of its own. So that way, when I actually create the parser, I know that I'm getting the actual, just the prefix. Instead of just arbitrarily, it's saying, oh, you got token string literal. That would not be fun. Let's see if this has anything in this buffer. Not yet. So I'll give it a couple more minutes here, or seconds here. There we go. Okay, so we got our current line. I'm gonna bump all in here. Okay, so current column is 0, so it has to be 0. And the current line length, so Alexa current line at position 0 is indeed that, so this should go to the next. What? It still returned null. What? Well, here's a problem too. Oh, shoot. There's a lot of problems here. This is probably where it actually breaks. Is space, Lexer, current line. Yeah, see, I'm not incrementing that that right there on this while loop. So it goes on forever. We'll just we'll copy that real quick. It's way overkill. Actually, you know what? I need to make this size t as well because that buff length is size t. But this I can keep as an int. Actually, I set that to 0, and well, which I already did up there. Whoops. So if I set that to 0, which I'm doing here, and I do buff lane, so while not is space, up it, and then we'll see where that lands us. I wonder if it's going to affect my +1 here. But this could totally work. Which is what I want right here. Okay. I want to remove this breakpoint now. I should. Current column is going to be 0. On the current line, at the current column, it is going to be that. So I don't know why this would return null. This will be true. This will be not true. So false, skip. Go down here, count the space, or count the characters until we get to the space. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this now. While we're waiting for that, chat, no. Okay, I wonder if that's enough time for the buffing to buff. Do I have anything in there? No. Now I do. Go, go. Okay, everything's good so far. Now we get here. Perfect. Buff length 18. I wonder if that works. So oh boy, I don't really want to count these, but I could. Copy value, open up Sublime. Let's make sure that 18 is the correct count there. So we're going up to here. 20 characters selected, so 19 characters selected. Oh, forgot about the quote. All right, here we go. That's 18. Include the space. Perfect. So it does stop where we need it to stop. So we'll just keep running that. I should start seeing, yeah. Interesting. I shouldn't be seeing this notice right here. Interesting. It's going to every space. No, not every space. That doesn't make sense. Very, very, very interesting results here. Let's go ahead and stop that. So I clearly still have an issue going on here. So I'm doing a copy. What I'm not doing, I don't think, is incrementing this. Well, no, I am incrementing that enough. I wonder where that extra printing comes from. Any other prints in here? No, just that. Well, it's getting the prefix just fine. It's the after the fact stuff that I don't like. It also seems to be adding another line, or that actual space there. I don't want that. Should be doing this. I'll go ahead and put a breakpoint there. So up to 19, so while it's less than 19, yeah. This is happening though where I'm not assigning any lines or anything to it. Just going to think through this here. Well, I doubt that's going to fix anything. It's worth a shot, though. I need to make sure that... Oh, something's going on. But now I fear broke. Because we have one output piece here, but now it's stopping. I don't want that. Yeah, I definitely don't want that. let's see here. Because now it's kind of just going on forever, because that's always going to return null. And we're not incrementing the character count afterwards. So I do need this. Hey, yeah, look at that. We're actually getting some prefixes out. I wonder what else is going to come through the pipeline here. Once the bot actually connects. Oh, I love this. Look at that. Yeah. That's tokenization for you. This is really what it's all about, you know, when it comes to like doing interpreters and, you know, compilers and things like that. It's all about string parsing. It kind of sucks, but you know, if you're good at it, clearly I'm rusty at it. But if you're good at it, you can actually do some really interesting things with it, like create your own languages. That's always fun. Or even, you know, expand it out further to actually do like, you know, other sorts of, you know, string parsing. You don't need regular expressions all the time. Now, regular expressions are really nice when you're in a pinch, but they do have a problem. Even though they can be recursive, even though you can have recursive regular expressions, the problem is that it's gonna, you know, slow down the processing of whatever you're trying to process. On top of that, you need in order for it to work, you need the entire string to be loaded in memory in the first place. You could do it piece by piece, but then your regular expression is going to get a little bit unholy. This is where tokenization and, you know, general string processing just, you know, come into play. Like, if you have a stream of text coming in, like, this is the perfect use case for it. So that way you're not bound by broken or that way you can have broken strings at different offsets, and you still be able to correctly parse whatever you need to parse because you're turning it into tokens. All that matters for the parser is to read the tokens. So if I'm trying to think of like JSON, for instance, you know, this actually came up at work today. You know, we're talking about what is a good way to, you know, bring back you know, some information, and you know, my buddy was like, hey, why don't we go ahead and just stream it all back? And I said, well, wait, there's a problem. If you're sending in JSON, our front ender is going to have to be able to parse that out. Well, you can't do that with regular expressions coming in as a stream, so you have to tokenize it. You have to actually write like a legitimate, you know, parser for for JSON. You can parse with incomplete data. That's the beauty of it. So anyway, I want to get off my high horse on that one, and I want to do some quick cleanup work before I call it quits for tonight. So today I did string literal. This is fine. I'm going to leave this in here because we are going to come across an instance when we're parsing messages where, according to the spec, oh, hey, people are typing. Oh, here we go. All right, sweet. Finally, some comments. I'll get to these in a moment. Let me stop. Let me finish up what I was going to get at here. Where was I? So I'm going to go ahead and create my IRC token prefix, and I'm going to leave it as that. And then I wonder why I have an error there now. Did I mistype something? What did I do? Oh, I accidentally deleted a line. Oh, that was the line to delete. No, that doesn't make sense. My IDE is causing all kinds of weird things. So I'm going to do token prefix, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm not in debug mode, which I'm not. Change that to, instead of be token string literal, I'm just going to do prefix. IRC token prefix. And then in my main program, I'm going to change it there too. And run a quick test. And good. All right. Now I'm going to go answer comments. All right, so let's see. We got some typing in here. So rare to see C on Twitch recently. Also raid, I guess. I don't know what raid is referring to. I'm new to Twitch, so I don't know what that is. I'm not aware. Like, is C like really like hard to come by on here? I'm not sure. I'm actually like I've only been doing this for a few episodes now, getting close to like 10 days or 5 days of doing this, so I've never really seen it myself either. So I don't know if it's common or not. Regex is something you want to implement. Wow, that's pretty ambitious. Unholy language. Wash yourself with holy water. Nice. You know, you're right. Bitslime, you're totally right. People would totally, use it as a crutch. But that's the nice thing about it too. At the same time, yeah. Yeah. Oh, really? So you guys are actually, Twitch streamers yourselves that program and C on here? Cool. What is INHAEE? I'm not familiar with all the acronyms, so. Oh, and giant air quotes, nice. Yeah, I know, right? JavaScript's a real up and comer. Oh, just the name. Whoops. Oh, very cool. I'd like to see your Lua sometime. I've been meaning to get into that myself because I'm kind of working on a game too in C++, but I was thinking of using Lua as the scripting component to that. So I'd be interested in seeing a Lua stream. Yeah, WoW definitely uses Lua. It is a simple API. Why do you hate it? Sprithy. Why do you hate it? Just different, yeah. It's a scripting language. Yeah. Roblox. Is that like a Lego thing? Oh yeah, Lua doesn't Lua start at array position 1, index 1 for its arrays. I always thought that was kind of weird. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I never heard of Roblox. Lua Just in Time, which is also pure magic inside. Is that like just a interpreter that just kind of happens on the fly? Oh, really? So Lua was from Brazil. I had no idea. That's crazy. Huh. Well, this brings up a good point, right? Like, would you guys use regex to stream in Lua code to try to parse it out? Probably not. Oh, written in assembly. Holy shit, that's legit. What architecture set do you know, or is it just or all of them, or just Intel? I agree with you, Bit Slime. Ah, Intel, nice. That's a shame. Well, I guess I would have to use an emulator if I wanted to use it for any other architecture. Oh wow, okay, so ARM and MIPS. Wow, cool. AMD 64, yeah. I kind of figured that with the X64. If I recall correctly, they're kind of like one and the same almost, right? Man, that's crazy. I don't think I could ever do a MIPS virtual machine in C. um, Sprithy, you ought to do a video series of creating um, that 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 virtual machine. Um, is it stack based or is it register based? Okay, so when you wrote your VM, that's register based and Lua stack based. Cool. But is the Lua JIT, is that the one that's stack based, or are you referring to the actual bindings when you try to hook it in with your like your C++ or C application? Huh. Oh, okay. Cool. Well, thanks for the comments. Um, yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Spithy, about the stack API not equal stack interpreter. Um, yeah, cool. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for the comments. This was a little fun conversation, but I'm gonna call it quits now. I will have this video up on YouTube as well as the one I did yesterday. But I'll try to participate in chat after this. So, all right, cool. Thanks for watching.